How to make him regret ignoring you. Hi ladies! So, I know you've had guys ignore you before. You know, they don't call you back and you just sit there like, what the heck? Am I not good enough? Well, I don't know if you know this, but there are certain numbers that guys simply can't ignore. So I'm going to show you how to use numbers to make your guy regret passing you up. How do you want to make him feel guilty for ignoring you? You are probably saying to yourself any way possible. I came looking for this article for a reason, and that is it. I want him to feel as bad as I do. I know it sounds really great. And I get it. That is probably where my head would go at first too. But now take a breath. Take a look at the situation from a distance. What kind of guilty feeling do you want him to have? If you want to work things out and not just make him feel bad and dump him, you may want him to learn from this guilt. You don't want the guilt lasting very long, or else the relationship could unravel. If you want him to come around and learn that ignoring you is unacceptable and hurtful, there are more healthy ways to let him know that. But if this is the last straw and he has ignored you one too many times, perhaps making him suffer is your end goal. And if it is, more power to you. Why was he ignoring you? Being ignored is unacceptable behavior in a relationship, no matter the reason, but knowing the reason could help you out here. Before wondering how to make him feel guilty for ignoring you, try to find out why he ignored you in the first place. Is this something you can talk about and move on from? Is this a one-time thing? Was he ignoring you to go drinking with his friends? Was he ignoring you because he doesn't want to text and drive? Was he in a meeting, or was he upset and didn't know what to say? All of these things can be dealt with without making him feel guilty. First, find out why he was ignoring you. If he was being safe and not looking at his phone when driving, good. If it worries you when he ignores you, maybe get him a Bluetooth attachment so he can dictate a text. He was at work, maybe he can let you know when he has a meeting so you don't feel like he is ignoring you in that moment. But if he is ignoring you when out with his friends, you can totally make him feel guilty because that is not cool. But if he was upset and needed space before saying something he would regret, you can clear things up by knowing that is how he handles stress. Maybe next time he can just text you to let you know he needs some space so you know he isn't actually ignoring you in a cruel way. Do you see what I mean? Sometimes being ignored by your man is a little more complicated than we think at first. How to make him feel guilty for ignoring you. So here comes the important part. How do you make him feel guilty for ignoring you? Well, you are in luck. There are actually quite a few different things you can do here. You can really make him rude the day he ignored you, or you can be a little more calm about it. So check out the ways for how to make him feel guilty for ignoring you and see which strikes your fancy. #1. Tell him how you feel. In order to make sure he truly feels guilty for ignoring you, tell him. That is the only way to get the message across and be crystal clear about it. Tell him how crappy he made you feel when he ignored you. If he is a decent person that is worth your time and energy, he will feel bad for making you feel ignored. From there, he should apologize and do better in the future. This is the mature and simple way to handle being ignored. #2. Ask him to reverse the situation. If you spoke to him about ignoring you and he still does not seem to grasp the fact that he should not be ignoring you and should feel bad for doing so, ask him how he would feel if you ignored him. Ask him how he would feel if he were trying to get in touch with you, and you just didn't respond. It feels pretty crappy, and hopefully, his imagination will realize that. #3. Take some space. I'm not telling you to ignore him back, but taking some space can make him realize that being around you is better. You can respond to him but say you don't want to see him for a weekend. You need your time or time with your friends. Just take some time away from him and he will appreciate you more when the break is over. Also, guys are not always the best listeners, so even if you told him that ignoring you is not acceptable, he may not take it to heart until he doesn't hear from you. #4. Live your best life. Stop worrying about how to make him feel guilty for ignoring you, and just worry about yourself. It seems like this is a subtle move and that he may not notice, but trust me, he will. Guys always notice when you are happy and living your best life. When you are having a great time with your friends, Focusing on work and investing in yourself is when the universe will remind him to come crawling back because you are his queen. Just focus on your own happiness. Do not try to seem happy so he feels bad. Instead, actually focus on yourself and he will see that you don't need him. That in and of itself is more than enough to make him feel guilty for ignoring you. #5 Don't care. Stop caring. Now I'm not saying you should stop caring about him, just the fact that he ignored you. Don't just overlook it and put up with it, but forget him. You deserve better than some guy who is just going to ignore you out of the blue. As soon as you stop thinking about him, you win and he loses. He will feel bad and regret how he treated you. And you will be the happiest you've ever been now that you dropped 200 pounds of dead weight. #6 Give him an ultimatum. I personally hate ultimatums as I think they can be juvenile and wildly unhealthy, but sometimes they are necessary. If he is exhibiting a behavior that you do not accept and refuse to put up with, give him one last chance. Tell him this is the last straw and that you are too good for someone to be ignoring you. You should be important enough to someone that they want to hear from you and talk to you. If he can't be that guy, he is no longer your guy. Stand your ground and he will run scared into your arms. If not, once again, congratulations. You just dumped a pile of male garbage. #7 Ignore him back. This is a last-ditch effort. I would never advise you to ignore someone who is ignoring you because all it tends to do is create a nasty cycle of both of you ignoring each other until things explode or die out. This also tends not to work because he won't know if you're ignoring him or if he is ignoring you. There is nothing to ignore. If it isn't your style to speak out against his bad behavior, this is an option, but not a great one. You now know how to make him feel guilty for ignoring you. You have got all the power here, so make the most of it.